So as I see, we are going to first look at the marine biodiversity in the intertidal zones. Now these intertidal zones are basically these now because of the gravity of the moon and the sun, the sea level usually goes very low and then goes very high every 6 hours. Okay, so these are called the tides. In an hour also, if you check out the sea level at the place that you had been to, you'll see that the sea level has either risen or else has gone low. So that is called high tide and the low tide. When the tide is very high, it is coming very close to the shore. That's called a high tide. While when the water has gone very low, has receded, that's called a low tide. So the area that is between these two tide lines, this is called the intertidal zone. Now in this, depending on the moon, which is your full moon and the new moon, you have got spring tide also. So basically spring tide is the time which are best for intertidal walks, because during spring tides your water is getting receded very way back. So because of that, you can explore in places which are usually most of the month under the ocean. So having a good understanding of tides allows you to explore the marine biodiversity in a very new and different way. Second is later on we'll look at the world of diving and snorkeling. How even this is a very fun way. I have been snorkeling for a very long time, and it's a very fun way to explore these marine biodiversity and marine areas. But right now, in places like Lakshadweep and even some places in Goa and in Karnataka, in some places in South, what we can say, Tamil Nadu and in Andaman and Nicobar, you can go for snorkeling and check out a lot of marine biodiversity. At the same time, you can do scuba diving in places like Goa, Konkan, and there is also Dwarka, where you can go. This place in Gujarat. And lastly, is marine world at night. Now, this is a very rare experience. Usually, night diving needs a lot of professional experience, at the same time courses which are sometimes costly also, and you can do it in very few places. You're not allowed to do it in many different places. But even besides night diving, there is also night intertidal walk which you can do much easier. And in night intertidal walk also, if depending on the places, you can find some amazing stuff in these areas, and that's what I'm going to show you along. Okay, so here's an image of the marine areas tidal zone of in Andaman. Okay, this is called Nemo Beach. This is in Havelock Island. Right now it's called Swarajdeep Island of Andaman and Nicobar. Okay, now you can see this entire area. On my left hand side, there are some of these trees. These trees are the mangrove trees. Now, in mangroves are a very important habitat. Okay, as I was saying, usually when we consider marine biodiversity, we only consider places like coral reefs and ocean. But actually, even these mangrove habitats and seagrass habitat and even these rocky shores are some of the most important habitats for marine biodiversity. Especially the reason is because in marine biodiversity, marine animals, there is a lot of cannibalism and a lot of predatorism. It means that there are a lot of animals that are ready to eat each other. There are some adult fish that will eat their own young ones. There are many different animals that are ready to eat each other. So there's a lot of what we can say fighting and quarreling. So in these kind of conditions and environment, these habitats of the rocky shores, these roots of mangroves and the coral reefs becomes like a protected habitat, because they provide a lot of places for the fish to hide, for the fish to be aware of the larger fishes and quickly someone is coming close. So there are many government and many different organizations also, when they look at this policy, because when they look at it, it just feels like these are rocks. But only when you look, you'll see that these are thriving habitats with biodiversity. Yeah. So as we come, let's start from the sandy beach and let's go
Anurag,
towards the entire this intertidal area. Yeah.
Anurag, some students are asking about snorkeling. Can you show them an image of you snorkeling? So that they understand,
Okay,
what is the equipment you need to wear, how deep do you go?
Okay, hold on. Here's the video.
Okay. Cool. Anurag, we've got another question coming in. Yeah, people are raising their thumbs up. Lot of this. Okay, the question is, what is the reason for white sand in the Andaman beaches, whereas others have brown sand?
Yeah, that's a really a very important question. So the reason for that is, let me show you 1 second. I have that also. So the reason the white sand is this animal, this is called a parrotfish. Now here, can you see what it's doing? It is actually chomping on the rock, which is basically full of algae and full of coral. Okay, so these are called parrotfish, and because of the mouth, you can see why it's called a parrotfish, because the mouth looks like that of a parrot. And these guys have very strong teeth, and they are very colorful. Also, see the image. And what they do is they actually stomp on rocks, and they eat the rock, and from that rock they actually eat all the algae and the corals and the animals inside it, and they will just turn into powder, crush the entire rock, and then poop it out. Okay, so all the white sand that you see in is basically what we can say, the poop of the parrotfish and also crushed corals. Okay, because corals, they make the entire skeleton out of limestone, which is literally your tuna, or else your chalk, which you used on whiteboards. So they use the salts that are in the ocean, and from the salts they make these entire coral skeletons. So all the white sand that you see in Andamans is because of these animals which are chomping on the rocks and helping the corals out in different ways. At the same time, breaking down the rocks into the fine sand, which we enjoy in the Andaman. So basically, when they are enjoying the white sands of Andaman, they are basically enjoying in poop of parrotfish.
Nice. And we
Let
don't
me go
have,
back to.
obviously, because we have polluted our waters in, let's say, Bombay, we don't have parrotfish here, and hence our
Yeah.
soil turns, I mean, sand stays brown.
We don't have fish. We don't have much of corals also.
Yeah.
Because of that, corals need a lot of good sunlight. Yeah, basically, where coral use sunlight, I'll be showing more about corals also. So basically, they are using the sun's light to make food and then grow. So if the water is so muddy that they are not getting the sunlight enough to do that, then they will face a very difficult challenge. So that's why many places in Mumbai do not have. They have corals, but they don't have fantastic amount of them, right? Like in places like Andaman. It's just that we need to stop soil erosion. We need to stop the disposal of a lot of amount of waste that we are doing from it. Only then we can hope for a better and more clearer oceans. Okay, so let's move to the intertidal zones.
We have one more
this
question.
is the animal usually we'll see in
Anurag,
these intertidal areas. Yeah, go ahead.
We have one more question coming in. Vanshita is saying, so in the past, did other water bodies also have white sand?
Did have what?
White sand. Like in the past, when things were clean.
Yeah, so, mm-hmm. So basically, white sand. See, sand also, depending on many different places, have different composition. For example, your beaches in Bali and even beaches on the barren island, for that matter, will have black sand. Okay, over there the reason is because these are volcanic. So the sand has more of the lava stone and lava rocks. Okay, in many different places like Mumbai and other places, you have more of soil and silt coming into, because see, the mainland has very big rivers. Okay, all these big rivers like our Thai Creek and Vasai Creek, all these creeks are also bringing a lot of silt. So because of that, also your sand is turning muddy and hey. At the same time, the sand composition also changes. Sometimes it has got empty shells. Sometimes it has got different kind of components into it. So depending on what kind of components you have in the sand, your what we can say, the texture of the sand, the kind of what we can say, close up of the sand will look different. Sometimes it's full of shells, sometimes it's full of particles of coral, sometimes it's full of this volcanic ash and volcanic rock. So depending on geography of the area, your sand will have different texture. River sand is very different. Your beach sand is very different. That's why even seagulls, they come when they lay their eggs, they come back to the same beaches again and again. The reason is they are able to identify sand of the beaches that they were born on. Usually they also have a different magnetic what we can say or what we can say identity. See, these sea turtles are able to understand magnetic. I'm not able to get the exact. So the animal that we see right over here in front of me is called a mud skipper. Okay, now this is actually a fish. Now it might be very surprising because you are seeing this fish out of water, right? Now, yes, it is actually out of water, and this fish actually likes water. It's not that I have picked this fish up and kept it on the. It is not dead. It is alive, and it is actually thriving, and it likes to sit out of water. So these mud skipper, what they have done is, because they live in intertidal zones, and every 6 hours they are out of water. What has happened is they have slowly evolved to have a breathing apparatus which is different from fish. Usually fish breathe from gills, but this fish has adapted to actually breathe from the mouth. So over here showing the mouth, you can see that the mouth is a bit okay. So what it does is it opens its mouth, it gulps in air, and it allows the water air to oxygen to then diffuse from the skin and reach to its body. So it doesn't need to breathe only with the gills. When it's under the water, it breathes the gills, but when it's out of water, it breathes through the skin, and so it's very much like a frog. Okay, so these are the early ancestors to the frogs and the many different animals that amphibians that came onto the land. Okay, and intertidal areas and intertidal zones is the reason because of which we got animals slowly migrating from the oceans to the land. Okay, so these are some of the oldest ancestors that we can have. Okay, so you can, that's why see the structure is very much like a tadpole where you can have the fins are also longer. They have slowly adapted into something like a limb, and you can see that over here. So you can see a lot of adaptations that are more similar to the animal like a frog, and also adaptations of this is called an interlinking species, which shows the from one habitat or one kind of environment, and this is a example of how evolution happened in these animals and biodiversity. Yeah, so they can breathe of water as long as the skin is moist. Okay, like in frog or a earthworm for that matter, if you say if they are out in the heat, what happens is this will usually all these frogs and frogs, salamanders, and even earthworms, they have a very slimy that they love to be slimy. Yeah, for us it's disgusting, but actually that slime and that sticky skin allows them to better. Okay, so as long as the skin of the animal is slimy, it has water, it has moisture, the animal can breathe easily. Okay, but when the skin dries up, then they have a difficulty. So they will be very close to water. It's not like this fish will come out and come on the road and just chill along with us in a hotel. It will always to the beach, and whenever it is drying up, quickly come into water, get chilled, and it will maintain the moisture on its skin.